Good afternoon. Here we are interrupting your regularly scheduled social media browsing with a special public service announcement from Source for You Commerce Drew, exclusively Nordlie, Michigan, about the current floral situation. So what's going on? There are so many factors happening right now. I'm going to try to, I've actually got notes so I don't forget anything. I'm going to try to break it down by categories as to what's going on, what's affecting our market, what's affecting prices, what's going on in general. So let's start with weather. Weather in Ecuador, in Colombia, has been horrific. Colombia is experiencing cold, dark rain. They're getting some of that in Ecuador too, but cold, dark, and rain in Colombia affects things like hydrangeas, which all of a sudden are in massive demand. It affects things like pomps, carns, minis. It affects, your pomps aren't going to be as progressing as fast. I saw some pomps come in last week that were taken away from mama way too soon because they're just trying to meet the demands. They're trying to fill the gaps. And, that's what's happening. And then the other thing you run into, if it's cold and wet and damp, if stuff doesn't get a chance to dry out enough before it ships from that destination to Miami, then on to Detroit, you've got moisture inside the boxes, and then that's going to lead to botrytis, mold, all the other issues. And right now with the volume that's coming in, you may not get a chance to crack open every single box, and things like that might sneak through here and there. Just a piece of the puzzle. The next factor would be freight. Freight rates are going up almost daily. It's almost like the same thing you see when you're out, you drive home from work. Today you see gas is, $3.95 a gallon, and then tomorrow you're driving home from work and you see it's $4.15 or $4.25 or whatever it might be. That's as fast as we're seeing it here. The freight companies, they can't absorb the added expense of fuel, the added expense of labor. The trucking companies are struggling to get drivers right now. The big people like Amazon and Walmart are eating up drivers, and the guys like that we use for our industry, where they have to drive a truck, they have to get out, they have to unload it, they have to count the boxes, they're responsible for all that. It's hard to find people to do that when you could be driving for, say, Walmart or Amazon, and all you have to do is you back a truck into a dock, somebody else unloads it, you drive away, all you're doing is just boom, 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 and then you're home at night. These guys driving for the refrigerated trucks for the flowers, it's from Miami to Detroit, round trip, that's 4 days. And, there's a lot of hand labor involved in that too. So who wants to do that? Everything's changing. Armelini, our one primary source, they're short almost 80 drivers was the last number I heard. So that leaves them, they have to go to use lease drivers. Lease drivers don't unload the trucks, they just drive. So when a truck gets to a destination, it has to be unloaded by the people there. If it shows up at odd hours, either they have to have somebody waiting or the truck sits and waits, and then that delays everybody else down the line. There's such a backlog, there's such a volume of product trying to get out of Miami. They're struggling to get the trucks out on time. We're so spoiled by a truck leaves Miami, we load it on Monday, we could count on it being here Wednesday for Wednesday sales. Right now, that's not a reality. It's at least 3 days just to get it to your building, and then you still got to break it down, and they're voluminous amounts. Picture semi-trailers of pallets of boxes. And you've got to check that in. You've got to divvy it up. You got to make sure it goes where it goes. That's very time consuming, and it's not something, when you've got, yesterday we had 3 semi-trailers back into our dock in the space of 3 hours. And then first you got to have the space to work all that, and then you've got to break it down. You got to check it in. It was an all-day process to get through those 3 trailers. We've got 2 trailers coming in Sunday, same thing, and even more volume between those 2 trailers. So there's so many moving pieces. It's just a matter of patience. It's, we're not trying to hold anybody up. We're trying to move it through as fast as we can. But if you move too fast, you make mistakes, and we don't want that either. So we're trying to alleviate that. Then, the other thing is something else to talk about. Miami, the flights trying to get into Miami, there's not enough flights. There's not enough people. You know, the farms and the brokers in Miami, they're now having to pay for charter flights. And because they paid in excess for those flights at Valentine's Day, the freight companies know what they can get away with now. So they charge them even more. And they're paying it's close to almost twice what it used to be for a full box pre-COVID to what it is now for a full box from Quito, Medellin to Miami. And we're talking insane amounts of money. Then it gets to Miami, labor shortage again. There's not enough people to push it through the channels, USDA, the airport, everything else. Then last weekend, we had the fun variable at Miami Airport of some moron having hand grenades in their stupid luggage that locks down the entire airport for 12 hours. So you've already got a backlog, then you close the airport for 12 hours, and it just stacks up. It's like when there's a freeway accident that closes the freeway. I mean, around here in Detroit, we've all been on 696 when an accident happens, and within minutes, it's backed up for miles. Imagine that with just piles of boxes coming off airplanes, coming into the airports, coming into the coolers in Miami. So you kind of see there's so many factors involved here. And then, you know, flowers, you know, right now demand is far outpacing supply. You can't, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much available. And now demand is through the roof. We have demand in the United States comparable to what it's been in Europe for years, that many of us who've been around a long time always said, oh my gosh, I wish we had the demand in the States. I wish flowers were as commonplace in people's lives in the States as they are in Europe. We got what we wished for, and we weren't ready for it in the least. So, you know, careful what you wish for, right? It's a strong market right now. You know, there's certain key things, hydrangeas, which are become almost non-existent in the last 2 weeks. Prices have gone up. It's supply and demand. High demand varieties of roses, pink mondau, playa blancas, quicksands, ocean songs. Demand far out, it's beyond what the availability is right now. If you can find those varieties, they're going for top dollar. Some of those varieties have doubled in price in the last week. If you can find them, that's the other problem. You know, the thing that we're seeing this week is, you know, we went Monday, we were in pretty good shape for next week. And in the span of 72 hours, our needs for next week almost tripled. In 72 hours, it was less than, you know, 4 days. It just imploded. And it was because, you know, who knows what it's because. I could speculate all day long. I'm not going to go there. But anyways, so you have pieces like that. And then another factor that a lot of people don't think about, and I've heard people that have been in the industry a while, we're all talking about it, is the fact that the cost of flowers never went up the way the rest of the costs of things that you dealt with in your everyday life did, which is part of the reason that, you know, the wire services were so successful for so long, was that you knew a carnation was always going to be X price. I mean, I think back to, like, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, you never would have had a carnation for, you know, more than 32 cents. You'd be selling at a wholesale price. And now, if you can't even buy them at that price most of the time right now. So just think about that. And that was, you know, people act like there's so much sticker shock right now, and maybe there is. Yeah, things cost way more than they did pre-COVID. But the reality of it is, had it moved like it should have over the course of the last 15, 20 years, it might not be as drastic. But, you know, now it's just all hitting, it's hitting hard, it's hitting every piece of this industry, it's hitting your supplies, it's hitting, you know, everything that your fuel for your deliveries, you know, your cost to your employees, all of a sudden it's all coming together at once, and it just makes every little bit of it that much more noticeable. But again, we're not here trying to gouge the market. That's not our goal. That's not what we're trying to do. But at the end of the day, what decisions I make are based on trying to take care of the customer. If somebody desperately wants pink mondaus for Mother's Day week, and it's a late order, and I'm going to do everything I can to fill that, but when it's an order that was placed like Tuesday of just this past week for delivery this coming Tuesday or Wednesday, your hands are tied. And, you know, you either fill the order at a higher price, but you fulfilled what the customer wanted, or you say, oh man, I can't pay that price. And then you run the risk of irritating the customer. And you don't have time right now to call a customer and say, hey, it's going to be X price. Can you live with that? Because in the time it took you to make that call and get back, that product's gone. It's been sold 5 times over since then. So, you know, it's just, there's so many moving pieces right now. And, wow, I didn't realize I'm up to 10 minutes already. I get on a soapbox, I get going. Anyways, I think I covered everything I've got written down here. I wish I'd have brought my bottle of water or something in here with me. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, you know, we are just living this right now. Some of us have been living it long before this week. But, you know, now is when it really comes full circle. Now is when it really comes to a head. But just know we're here for you. We're going to do everything we can to take care of you. Your success is our success. And, you know, we're nobody without you. So at the end of the day, know that we're in your corner. We're doing everything we can for you. We want you to have a successful holiday. And I guess that's what I got to say. I'll see you now in 3 days, 4 days. What day is today? I don't even know. What year is it? What's my name? Where am I? I'm hoping I'm leaving soon because I got to get something to eat. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a tirade or a diatribe on my part. I hope it makes sense. Thanks.